Hello and welcome to Brands Hatch, the first ever race meeting for the BRSCC Mazda MX-5 Super Series. It's a full championship covering 8 rounds across all the tracks in the country. And somebody who's very familiar with Mazdas is George Grant. George, you've raced in Mark 1s, you've raced in a Mark 3 today. New series, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling really chipper actually. I think the BRSCC have done a fantastic job because they've got 2 championships. We've got this one in the Super Series and we've also got obviously the one in the TCR. But great, weather is not too bad and I think we were all having a good time.
Yeah, well, track conditions are pretty much perfect. Cold track temperature, qualifying was in the wet.
It was, I love it. I really love the wet. Yeah. I have a problem. I'm faster percentage-wise in the wet than in the dry, so I've got to work on that, which is quite good in a way. So I could do with some rain actually.
Yeah. So not a podium today?
Well, we're 8th at the moment, and you never know. You know, let's wait and see.
Good luck.
Thanks very much, Ant.
And Lyndsay's on the other side of the assembly area with Matt Pickford.
Thanks, Anthony. On the other side of the assembly area, we have Matt Pickford, who is joined us from. You've come from the Mark 1s. How long?
I did three years in the Mark 1 Championship and decided to move to the new Super Series this year.
Hey, what made you make the jump?
A couple of the other guys who I raced with were moving up, so I figured I'd go and race with these guys.
So you're just joining on with the rest of them?
Absolutely, keep up with the competition.
Exactly. No, so obviously your car was quite iconic in the Mark 1, so
yes.
the Martini stripe. So
I've gone Martini again, but I've gone a little bit brighter this year, and this is all because of my wife, who said that she couldn't pick my car out in the races last year, so we've gone slightly day glow, so everyone can see it this year.
You're starting in P11, all we can say is best of luck, Matt.
Thank you.
All right, back over to Andy McEwan.
Thank you very much, Lyndsay. Here's how the grid looks for the first race of the new Mazda MX-5 Super Series. Jake Bailey and Josh Jackson make up row 1, with a returning Paul Sheard alongside Richard Breland on row 2. Sam Bailey and Alex Miller are next, ahead of Simon Fleet and George Grant on the 4th row. Row 5 for Simon Orange and Patrick Collins, ahead of Matt Pickford and James Kell, Jim Hart and Russ Lyndsay, with Sam Dahan rounding out the 15-car field. So Sam Dahan pulls in place at the back of the grid. This is the rather spectacular onboard view we have, courtesy of George Grant in the number 169 car. Patrick Collins also carries an onboard camera as we are away and racing. A couple of stallers towards the back of the grid, unfortunately. James Kell and Jim Hart, I think they were, but the leaders make their way up towards Paddock Hill Bend for the first time of asking, on board with Matt Pickford and now on board with Patrick Collins, and diving up the inside of him there, the blue car, that was Simon Fleet. But as we exit Paddock Hill Bend, it's the white car of Josh Jackson, who has made the best start from the outside of row number 1. George Grant here trying to find a way up the inside there on the run up towards Druids of Jake Bailey. That didn't, sorry, Sam Bailey, excuse me. That didn't quite work. We exit Druids now, back down the hill towards Graham Hill Bend. Bit of dust being kicked up by one of the cars in front, but the leading contenders make their way out of Graham Hill, down the Cooper Straight. We're back on board now with George Grant. That's the blue car of Simon Fleet behind us. As we turn our way now through the dauntingly quick left-hander at Surtees, you can see there George hard at work. But there's the lead battle making its way through clearways for the first time. Jake Bailey is second, having started on pole, and that first of the 2 Clapham North liveried vehicles in this race is Paul Sheard, the other one being, of course, George Grant a bit further back. They streak across the start-finish line for the first time then, and immediately a slightly defensive line is taken by Joshua Jackson, our race leader. As you can see, there are a few damp patches on the circuit, but generally speaking, the track is dry. The grip levels are pretty good, even though the ambient temperature's not that high today, as you'd expect for an early spring afternoon here at Brands Hatch. But it looks as though Josh Jackson, having made the best start, is struggling to escape. These two were separated by only half of a tenth of a second in qualifying, and they're now separated by virtually nothing in the race because they're side by side through Graham Hill Bend. George Grant, though, is sideways on the grass. So too, just behind him, is Patrick Collins. So a bit of shuffling going on here. Collins is going to recover the best from that situation, though, to gain a place courtesy of George Grant. Leading quartet make their way up through towards the top end of the circuit. We've had a change for third there. Richard Breland has got himself ahead of Paul Sheard and now is going for second place up the inside of our pole sitter Jake Bailey. So Bailey, who half a lap ago looked as though he was going for the race lead, is now in danger of losing maybe not just 1 place but possibly 2 places if Paul Sheard can follow him through as well. Matt Pickford here. Oh, Matt Pickford slowing. What's the issue here for Pickford? Oh, look at that. Damaged front suspension or damaged steering arm. Whatever the issue is, that it looks fairly terminal, and he is out of the race. But as he comes up towards the start-finish line once more, it is looking very, very comfortable indeed for Josh Jackson, who's actually extended the margin now to over a second for pretty much the first time of the race. There's confirmation of Jake Bailey's fastest lap that he set earlier on lap 10, but that was a very quick lap, so he does have that fastest lap of the race, but he can't piece it together lap after lap in a consistent enough fashion to really chase after the leader. And this is the battle I was mentioning just now between Pickford and Lyndsay for 8th position. Both of these drivers have had their dramas in the race so far. Lyndsay a bit of a sluggish start, and Pickford a bit of a sluggish start, and Lyndsay with that spin that we saw him recovering from up at Clearways, which is why they've both gone a lap down. Ordinarily you wouldn't expect them to have slipped a lap behind, even on a short and sharp circuit like this one at the Brands Hatch Indy circuit. So back out across the start-finish line comes Josh Jackson, and Josh goes on to another lap as he now makes his way towards the end of the opening round of the Mazda MX-5 Super Series, which has been a very competitive race through the midfield, but at the front it has to be said that Josh, having made the start from the outside of the front row, has really stamped his authority on this race. Pickford in the background, we've got this fight for 4th which refuses to die down. That's Richard Breland in 3rd, hang back a 2nd, and there just in the background you can see Paul Sheard still in 4th. Every time I think that he's made an escape from Sam Bailey, Sam latches back onto his coattails, and in fact he's having a go in the background. Look at the inside into Graham Hill Bend, so that battle is going to run and run right down to the checkered flag, I think. Speaking of checkered flags, we are approaching the end of the race now for Josh Jackson, I believe. The time is slowly running out in this one, and he'll be very happy indeed to see that checkered flag at the end of the race, which he sees now. So Josh Jackson takes victory in the opening round of the Mazda MX-5 Super Series from Jake Bailey in 2nd place. This is Matt Pickford, and he will hold on to that 8th position. Confirmation of the result there. Jackson from Bailey the top 2, Richard Breland in 3rd. Paul Sheard did hang on by the skin of his teeth, up less than a 10th of a second ahead of Sam Bailey. Then it's George Grant, Simon Fleet, Matt Pickford, Russ Lyndsay and Alex Miller, with Jim Hart, Sam DeHaan and James Kell outside the top 10. Patrick Collins and Simon Orange were non-finishers.
Josh, first win of the first round of the Mazda Super Series, how are you feeling?
Yeah, feeling good. Enjoyed the race. Jake kept me honest, so yeah, no, it was good. It was a good laugh.
Yeah, and you've got a bit of history with racing Mazdas. What's it like with these very experienced drivers?
Yeah, both are experienced in Mark 3s. This is the first ever race in a Mark 3, so it was a bit different to the Mark 1, but no, I enjoyed it. It was good.
Jake, 2nd place in the first ever round of the Mazda MX-5 Super Series. Well done.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I enjoyed it. It's a good race.
It's great competition out there. You're probably the youngest driver.
Yeah. No, yeah, there is. I had a good race with Josh. He wasn't too far away, and I'm looking forward to the next race tomorrow.
Richard, 3rd place. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Yes, it was a good race. The team Blink Motorsport did a great job setting the car up, and yeah, really happy with 3rd.
Race 2 is about to get underway for the MX-5 Super Series. We're going to race 15 magnificent-looking Mark III Mazdas. Josh Jackson won the first race, so obviously he's on pole. But this is the man here to watch, Simon Orange. He blew his diff on the first lap of the first race, and he should make up some places. And Lyndsay, where's he going to finish?
I kind of predict, looking at who we've got out there on the grid at the moment, I reckon he's going to jump up right to about mid-park. I'd like to see him in about P8.
Fantastic. Well, I'm going to say 7.
Oh, 7?
Yeah.
Oh no, definitely going to be 8. I don't reckon he's going to have the ones looking up at the front. I don't think he's going to be able to jump that high, but you could prove me wrong.
We never know. So with that, let's see how it all pans out. Andy, over to you.
Thanks very much, guys. So the cars line up on the grid, and we'll watch with interest how Simon Orange gets on. The grid is the result from race 1, so it's Jackson and Bailey row 1, Richard Breeden and Paul Sheard row 2, and Sam Bailey and George Grant on the 3rd row, with Simon Fleet and Matt Pickford on row 4. Then it's Russ Lyndsay and Alex Miller, Jim Hart and Sam DeHaan, with James Kell, and then our 2 non-finishers from race 1, Patrick Collins and the man himself, Simon Orange. You can see him in the black car with the orange stripes at the tail end of the field, and we'll see what sort of progress he can make. So in race 1 it was Josh Jackson who made the best start, but he was on the outside of row 1 for that one. What happens in race 2? It's a reverse situation by the looks of it, with Jake Bailey getting off the line a little bit better. It's very busy further back in the pack though. That's Patrick Collins alongside Russ Lyndsay as he turns into Paddock Hill Bend. And do they all get through? There's a bit of paint being traded in front, but it's side by side for the race lead, with Jackson on the inside, Bailey on the outside, and Paul Sheard trying to join in the fun as well through the right hand of this. Already is a more competitive competitive race at the front of the field than we saw in the first encounter. On board with Matt Pickford, that's the treble 9 car, Patrick Collins. He and Simon Orange are both carving their way through the order, so it looks as though Simon might be aiming to prove Anthony right and get up a bit higher than maybe 8th place in the race. We'll wait and see. Up through Surtees, and finally it looks as though Jake Bailey has established himself as the race leader. So the man who started on pole for race 1 but couldn't convert it into a race win has this time got himself out in front early doors. So we have a race on our hands this time around, I think. Second place is still going to be Josh Jackson, with 3rd place Paul Sheard, 4th Richard Breland, and 5th for Sam Bailey. So Breland's lost out there on the first lap. He's dropped behind Paul Sheard, and also look behind, the 4th car in that group is George Grant. So that's the teammate car to Paul Sheard, and he is joining right in the battle as well early on in this race. In front of him, side by side and changing positions, are Sam Bailey and Richard Breland, as we're side by side again for the race lead. Jake Bailey on the inside towards Graham Hill Bend, as I kind of suspected might be the case, has not got the pace to pull away at the front of the field, and with the slipstream effect around here especially, that means he's going to have his mirrors full for an awfully long time, I think, of Josh Jackson, our race 1 winner. Up through Surtees and Clearways we go again, and into the long right-hander here that ends the lap. And yeah, this is going to be an interesting battle now, because we saw in race 1, although it was actually Jake Bailey, our race leader at the moment, who set the fastest lap in race 1, he couldn't do it on a consistent enough basis to challenge for the race lead. Well, now he's in front, he's struggling to pull away, so this is going to be a really close battle, I think. Into that corner where he had the moment to lost the lead, and it was that part of the circuit where we picked him up going slowly, as if maybe he'd had another moment, because the car certainly seems to be running okay. He's maintained the gap now to the cars behind, so possibly Jake just running into some slight brake issues towards the end of the race. Tyres shouldn't be an issue, they can run the same set of tyres all weekend really, and shouldn't lose too much performance. But either way, Jake Bailey's chances of winning the race unfortunately have gone by the wayside. Back through Druids for what could be the penultimate time. Goes this fight for 3rd place. About a minute left on the clock, so we might squeeze possibly 2 more laps out of this one. I think we will. Back through Clearways comes this 3rd place squabble again, and you do sense that Richard Breland had his opportunity when he briefly got ahead of Paul Sheard mid-race at Paddock Hill Bend, only for Paul to immediately seize that 3rd place back again. Back in towards Paddock they go. Defensive line taken by Sheard, outside line taken by Breland. They are being caught by Sam Bailey. Sam Bailey, I don't think he's quite got enough time to get there, but he's definitely lapping quicker than the 2 cars in front of him. His fastest lap for Sam Bailey, let's have a look, is a 56.3, so about 3/10 quicker than the cars in front, who have changed positions. So Richard Breland has got himself ahead of Paul Sheard, so that serves me right for looking away when I did, didn't it? So Richard Breland's gone through into 3rd place, and now it looks like Paul Sheard could lose another place to Sam Bailey possibly. Last lap board we can see being hung out, so this is the final lap of the race. No change likely inside the top 2, but 3rd, 4th and 5th couldn't be much closer as we go through onto the final lap. And it is now Richard Breland who has got himself ahead of Paul Sheard and into a podium position. So Paul won't be too pleased with himself for that. And Graham Hill then goes the now very comfortable Josh Jackson. He never had this comfortable the lead in race 1. It's certainly a much more competitive race this time around as a result of Jake making a good start and getting the lead into the first corner. A little mistake at the final turn here at Clearways about 4 or 5 laps ago is what did it and allowed Josh Jackson to come through and take his 2nd victory of the day. The first 2 rounds of the Mazda MX-5 Super Series go the way of Josh Jackson, and he'll aim to try and make it a hat-trick later on. 2nd place for Jake Bailey, 3rd for Richard Breland, and Paul Sheard will just hang on to that 4th place. But it was a great drive by Sam Bailey to close in, really proved that he had the pace. George Grant is 6th, Simon Fleet is 7th, Patrick Collins is 8th, and Simon Orange then drops down to 9th, just ahead of Alex Miller. Then Matt Pickford, Jim Hart, James Kell, Russ Lyndsay and Sam Dahan, this time around the only driver to fall 1 lap down.
Right, Josh, that's 2 wins in 2 races. Are you going to pull it out for a third?
We're hoping for a third, but we'll have to see. It's tough competition. Jake's really quick, so we'll try our best.
Josh put on a good battle, so he deserved that win. But yeah, fingers crossed for the last race.
So Richard, third and third, that's 2 out of 2. Do you think you're going to do it for a third time?
Yeah, well, I hope I can do better than third place in the last race, but the 2 guys in front of me are mega quick. So but it was a good race, I enjoyed it, really good.
The third race of the weekend for the MX-5 Super Series is about to get underway. Josh Jackson's on pole position after winning the first 2 races. Can he make it 3 out of 3? Well, let's find out. I'll hand you up to the commentary box and Andy McEwan.
Thanks very much, Anthony. Yes, the hat-trick is definitely on here for Josh Jackson, but he's going to have to fend off Jake Bailey again, who's been a fast starter this weekend. Richard Breland and Paul Sheard share row 2 ahead of Sam Bailey and George Grant, with Simon Fleet and Patrick Collins on the 4th row of the grid. Row 5 for Simon Orange and Alex Miller. Row 6, Matt Pickford and Jim Hart, then James Kell, Russ Lyndsay and Sam Dahan at the back of the grid. In theory, although I can't see Sam back there, so I think he may be a non-starter. We've got everyone else there as away we go. Good start made further back by Patrick Collins. Look around the outside line towards Paddock Hill Bend, but at the head of the field, they're wheel to wheel again. Josh Jackson on the inside, Bailey on the outside line. The midfield scrum through Paddock is always very, very close indeed, but look at this, no, side by side I should say for the lead, but Jackson has the inside line. He wasn't able to fend off Bailey at the start of race 2, remember, but this time around he looks as though he might be able to. On board again with Patrick Collins here. We've got Simon Orange, I think that is in front of us, who's leapfrogged ahead at the start of this one. They turn their way through Graham Hill Bend, so Jackson leads the way. It is Jake Bailey second, Paul Sheard in his 3rd position that he's held throughout most of the weekend's runnings really. Richard Breland down to 4th. Of course they started the opposite way around on the grid, and Paul Sheard with a big lock-up runs a bit wide. Can Breland get up the inside? The answer is no. There is 1 car off further back though, which was possibly Patrick Collins. Yes, we've lost Patrick Collins from the group, so Patrick has gone off, I'm afraid. Did he make contact with anything solid, or has he been able to rejoin? Not too sure. Find that out for you in a second. Right, back up toward Paddock Hill Bend. The whole field streaming through as one here at the start of this race. Race 2 was a little bit more lively than race 1. Is race 3 going to be more lively than either of them? We'll wait and see. Immediately here comes the attack from Jake Bailey up the inside, and those 2 are starting already to make their customary break from the rest of the chasing pack, but it's the chasing pack that gets bigger with each race that goes by, doesn't it? We started off in race 1 with a sort of 3-way battle for 3rd, then it became a 4-way battle in the early part of race 2 because George Grant was a part of it, but George has just done exactly what he did on the 2nd lap in race 1 and gone off at Graham Hill Bend. However, the car is stopping this time around as if there's an issue, and I did spy some fluid coming out of that car as it came through Druids that time around, so that may have been the cause of that spin, or that half spin onto the grass, and possibly the cause of his retirement. Right, leaders back through Clearways and Clark Curve, and Josh Jackson has got Jake Bailey breathing down his neck. Jake will not want to sit behind him for too long. There indeed is George Grant. That's a real shame for the friendly southerner. Now he's close enough maybe now to have a look at the inside into Graham Hill Bend, is he? Jackson sees it coming though. This is the problem, of course, when you attempt to manoeuvre once or twice, then the driver you're trying to get past learns that that's where you're likely to attack, and so they know to defend into those corners. That's what we saw Paul Sheard doing earlier on so masterfully. Towards Clearways, there's another gap on the inside, and this time I think Bailey might have done it. He's up the inside, and Josh Jackson cannot close the door. So Jake Bailey is alongside as we come out onto the Brabham Straight once again. We've only got a couple of laps to go, and finally Jake Bailey might just have done enough to get the race lead away. Wheel to wheel up towards Paddock Hill Bend they go. Inside for Bailey, outside for Jackson. They almost lean on each other, but Bailey is through. Can he hold it on the exit of the corner? Yes, he just about does. So Jake Bailey with a sensational move. That was patience personified, wasn't it, there for Jake Bailey? He knew he was quick enough to make the move stick, but he just couldn't quite prise the door open. Eventually he did it, and he's into the race lead. Fantastic. Further back, Paul Sheard still 3rd, with Sam Bailey 4th. So he's ahead of Richard Breland now, but then he locks up down into Graham Hill Bend, and Breland, I think, will have to settle in 5th for now, but he's close enough to attack. So too is Josh Jackson, though. This ain't over yet for Jake Bailey. Bailey is going to have to get his elbows out now over the remaining, well, possibly, it could be about to go on to the final lap, I think. Let's have a look. Yeah, last lap board is being, no, it's not being ready, sorry. We've got 2 more laps to go. So 2 more laps for Bailey and Jackson to do battle. Jake Bailey has set the fastest lap of the race earlier on in the race, 56.331. So it's not quite as quick as they've gone in the other two races, but that's because they've been locked in combat all race long, really. Back up towards Druids we go for the penultimate time. Bailey, if anything now, has a couple of car lengths lead, doesn't he, over Jackson? This is the true test of how quick he is, though. Can he pull enough of a gap over the last couple of laps that Jackson can't tee him up for another move? Battle for third is still raging, by the way, so we don't really know where to look here. The battle for the lead closes back in once more, so we'll focus on these two for the time being as they turn their way now in towards clearways, and we are now about to start the final lap of the race. Jake Bailey, has he done enough? Let's see. Jackson's going to get in the slipstream here across the start-finish line. Although he actually pokes his nose out slightly to the left-hand side, so he's not going to get the full effect down towards Paddock, but he is closing in, and he looks to the inside line, but Bailey's late enough on the brakes. Didn't feel the need to defend there. I thought that might have been a mistake at first, but no, he's late enough on the brakes to fend him off. Back out of Paddock now, hooked towards Druid's corner. It would be nice to see Jake Bailey get a race victory, having been so close in the first two races. It would be equally nice, though, to see Josh Jackson get the hat-trick of race victories. Which one of them is going to come out on top? Down through Graham Hill Bend. Nicely poised there through the left-hander was Jake Bailey's car. No mistakes being made. One more overtaking opportunity to go, and that's into the right-hander at clearways, and Jackson is closing in. But this is where Bailey got the lead away from him, so we know Jake is good on the brakes here. Jackson looks up the inside, not quite close enough, and so it looks as though we're not going to see the hat-trick of victories here today in the Mazda MX-5 Super Series. Third place is still up for grabs. That could go either way, but on the dash towards the checkered flag, it is Jake Bailey who wins race number 3 here at Brands Hatch. A fantastic race, though, between himself and Josh Jackson, easily the best of the weekend. Then it's Paul Shear in third, finally gets on the podium ahead of Sam Bailey and Richard Breland. Then it is Simon Orange 6th ahead of Simon Fleet, Alex Miller, Patrick Collins and Jim Hart. All of the others, unfortunately, failing to make it to the finish.
So I suppose a massive congratulations is in order for you. How do you feel?
Yeah, thank you very much. Really good. Wasn't an easy race. Josh kept me on his toes as he did in the other two races. But a big thanks to Blink Motorsport for making sure the car was spot on for me.
So Josh, congratulations. Unfortunately, I see you coming away with second, but that was a nail-biting challenge in the last section. How did you feel?
Yeah, no, it was good. The car was not quite as good as it was in the last two races, but Jake kept me honest and all through the day. But yeah, it's thanks to BC Cars and Brian and Brisky Racing and Richard helping me out this year.
So Paul, congratulations. How do you feel?
Yes, good. I mean, fought for a podium early on, and it wasn't to be. Richard denied me of it, so I was quite determined. And we've done some work on George's car. It's lovely for him to lend me the Clapham North spare car, and we've tuned it in a little bit, and I think there's a niche to come out of it yet. So yeah, look forward to supporting the Super Series some more. I think it's going to grow and grow.
Well, what a fantastic opening round it's been for the Mazda MX-5 Super Series here at Brands Hatch. Josh Jackson takes 2 wins and Jake Bailey the other. Lyndsay, what a fantastic final race that was.
I know, it was completely nail-biting. I didn't know who was going to get the last pip at the last second, but it was absolutely phenomenal, and hopefully it'll continue when we're back in Snettington for the next round. So please come and join us then.